Of course he's number one.
Steph has had great.
Of course he's number one.
He's won
what do you expect? He's number one.
Top
Top 10 best players in the 2022 playoffs, man. Let's check it out.
Here are the 10 best performers of the 2022 NBA playoffs. Number 10. Brandon Ingram.
Okay, Brandon Ingram.
Alvarado stole the show with his behind-the-back steals. Some people were still talking about Zion and his pregame dunks, and others were praising Herb Jones and his future Defensive Player of the Year candidacy. But the best player on the Pelicans is still Brandon Ingram, and he proved it in the playoffs. Even though his shooting dropped off in the regular season compared to his 2020 All-Star year, Ingram improved when it mattered. He shot 48% from the field and over 40% from three against the Suns, averaging 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists.
Okay, Ingram.
Even though the Pelicans lost, Ingram dazzled in his first playoff appearance, and it's hard to say anything negative about his play. Number 9, Ja Morant.
Of course, Ja Morant.
The 2022 playoffs proved that Ja Morant is the most electric player in the NBA right now. Super quick and super bouncy, Morant is a highlight waiting to happen. In Game 5 against Minnesota, Ja made a super tough lefty layup to win the game, proving his clutch gene. To be fair, he struggled with his shot against the Timberwolves, shooting just 38%, 8% for three. But Ja is not just a speedy dunker. He is a super savvy playmaker who averaged 10.5 assists and 9 rebounds in the first round, pushing the Grizzlies to their first series win in 7 years. In the second round against the Warriors, Morant led all players in scoring in the first 3 games, and Game 2 was the crown jewel of his young career. Ja tied with Jimmy Butler for the best individual single-game performance in the 2022 playoffs. With 47 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists.
That boy balled out.
He got injured in the fourth quarter of Game 3 and didn't play again. Morant finished first in the playoffs in assists per game and was near the top in all advanced statistics. Number 8,
kind of different,
Andrew
I ain't gonna
Wiggins.
lie, but
Throughout the entire playoffs, Andrew Wiggins
I remember
has been
that.
the second best player on a championship team. Not Draymond, not Clay, not Poole. It was Maple Jordan who did most of the work for the Warriors behind Steph Curry. The Canadian is the former #1 pick, and before he got to Golden State, he was the poster boy for unreached potential, inconsistency, and a bad contract.
Low-key though,
Since
I
coming
ain't
to
gonna lie,
Golden
they say
State,
you're supposed to be the
he
next
became one of the
LeBron.
best 3-and-D players in the NBA. Wiggins guarded the best opposing player throughout the playoffs, no matter what position he played. Wiggins took over Ja Morant after Gary Payton II got injured and limited Morant to 0.84 points per possession. Luka Doncic and slowed him down as well as anybody could. In the finals,
it wasn't that bad. Luka was still turning up.
Possessions, and the Celtics star shot 37% from the field in 5 games. When Wiggins guarded him, he limited Tatum to just 0.74 points per possession. Andrew finally figured out how to use his insanely quick lateral movement. He was key in forcing turnovers and was the best Warriors rebounder in the finals, an area that troubled Golden State for years. He may not be the 25-point scorer that everyone expected him to be coming out of the draft, but Wiggins became the perfect glue guy. He makes winning plays and is a true heir to Andre Iguodala for the Warriors.
Okay, I'll give him that. He showed out.
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown, okay.
Jaylen Brown is underpaid. When he signed a $107 million rookie extension in 2019, some pundits figured the Celtics were paying a premium for a player who regressed and was passive offensively. Ever since, and especially in the 2022 playoffs, Jaylen Brown was anything but passive. He carried the Celtics offensively when Tatum wasn't in the game. What's been most impressive about Brown is his consistency. Dating back to 2020, he's been averaging between 20 and 24 points per game in the last 7 playoffs.
He's a baller.
Shooting the ball very efficiently. Jaylen is not perfect. He is still erratic at times and quite turnover prone. But he does not have a great weakness in the game.
I remember that.
His strong rebounding, decisive drives to the basket, and putting constant pressure on the defense were a huge reason why the Celtics advanced to the finals. Among all second options in the NBA, there aren't many players who averaged better numbers in the playoffs than Brown's 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 3.5 assists.
He showed out.
And for $24 million a year, that's a bargain. Number 6, Nikola Jokic. In 2022, Nikola Jokic deservedly won his second MVP.
Didn't he get dropped off first round?
Raised his usage rate by 3% compared to his first MVP season, while also improving his true shooting to an unbelievable 66%. To put things into perspective, Steph Curry had a 66% true shooting when he won the unanimous MVP in 2016, which many believe is the best shooting season in the history of the NBA.
Low-key though, I ain't gonna hold you.
Jokic was 6th in the NBA in scoring, 4th in shooting efficiency, 2nd in rebounding, and 8th in assists per game.
Okay.
However, what improved most drastically wasn't his offense. Jokic made a huge leap defensively and was the best center in the NBA in steals and 2nd in deflections. His positioning was timely and accurate. He closed out and hedged the pick and roll well, and his improved conditioning allowed him to give multiple efforts on defense. We're talking about Nikola's regular season, just to enhance the understanding of how great he was in the playoffs. Because in the playoffs, this badass Serbian improved again. The Joker went from 27 points in the regular season to 31 in the playoffs.
Dang, boy, hold up.
58% from the floor and a 65% true shooting. On top of that, he averaged 13 rebounds and 6 assists, which means he rebounded like Rodman, passed like LeBron, and scored like MJ, while maintaining Steph Curry-like shooting efficiency.
That's tough.
Sure,
Hold
his
up.
Nuggets lost in the first round against the Warriors.
That's what I was saying. They lost the
doesn't
first
deserve
round,
an inch
though.
of blame. His player efficiency rating of 33 is the highest of all players in the 2022 playoffs, where Jokic proved he's one of the 5 best players on the planet.
Hey, I give it to him, though. He showed out. But then my boy,
Had to bet
Luka.
on one NBA player to win the MVP in the next few seasons, or shut down our channel. We at Nonstop Sports would bet on Luka Doncic. Why? Because Luka Doncic was the MVP of every playoff series he's played in, even the ones he lost. We all remember his game winner against the Clippers, and how he made Kawhi and Paul George look average defensively. In the 2022 playoffs, Slovenian Wonderboy continued to dominate. After he returned from injury, he quickly dispatched the Jazz, averaging 29 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. Then against the Suns, he showed Devin Booker and the Suns that you shouldn't talk trash to a player of his caliber, because it's only going to bite you in the ass. Everybody's acting tough when they're up. After he quoted Michael Jordan, the Mavs won the next game by 27.
That's tough. Hold on, man.
In the deciding Game 7, Doncic and the Mavs gave the Suns the biggest beatdown we had ever seen in a Game 7. The game was already over in the first half, with Luka scoring 27 points, the same as the entire Phoenix team. However, in the conference finals against the Warriors, Luka struggled more than ever. The tough Warriors defense, led by Andrew Wiggins, limited Doncic to just 42% shooting, and they also went hard at Luka on the other end. Despite his defensive upgrade in 2022, Doncic still needs to improve his positioning, conditioning, and lateral quickness. This was the worst series of Luka's career, and he still averaged 32, 9, and 6.
That's what I'm saying. Look at them numbers.
Both teams in all major statistical categories. He's only going to get better, and that's scary
that man
for
gonna
the
be a
rest
young
of the
goat.
NBA.
I'm telling you
Number
right
4,
now.
Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was just
Hey, have y'all seen
away
Jimmy
from
Butler
making
new
the
hair,
NBA
bro? Let me know down in the
Finals.
comments. I might make a
Heat
whole
down
video
by
on
2 in the
that.
last 20 seconds of Eastern Finals Game 7. Jimmy fired a transition 3 that clunked off the rim. The internet then proved how toxic it can be, and many analysts and keyboard warriors blamed Butler for not taking it to the rim against the backpedaling Al Horford. We're sure as hell not going to say anything bad about Jimmy. Not after he scored 47 points in Game 6, and not after he scored 35 in the 7th, playing for a full 48 minutes. He put the team on his back and was consistent throughout all 3 playoff series, crossing the 30-point mark 8 times, and 4 times going over 40. Offensively, the Heat was often one-dimensional, destroyed by injuries and inconsistency of its players, but they could always count on Jimmy. Butler scored through contact like he was prime LeBron, posting up players and nailing tough fadeaways.
Like prime LeBron is kind of different, I ain't gonna lie.
Cuts, transition, you name
kind of a
it, Jimmy
reach,
was doing
just
everything,
saying.
and he did it efficiently, shooting over 50% for the entire playoffs. The same is true defensively. He was playing great help defense, flying into the passing lanes like a mountain lion lurking for its prey, and he led all players in steals per game in the playoffs.
Golly, hold
he
up,
played a
Jimmy.
great switch defense on Trae Young in the first round. He guarded Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum one-on-one, and he completely neutralized James Harden. Butler was second in the playoffs in player efficiency rating, first in win shares, and several other advanced statistics. And he did all that while battling through a tough knee injury. So if you still think he shouldn't have shot that transition 3, think again.
That boy,
3,
Jimmy.
Jason Tatum.
Of course,
Jason Tatum is an extremely frustrating player to watch and root for. Tatum doesn't have a single weakness in his game, at least on paper.
Wait, so
He has a
Tatum number
formidable
2,
shot
time
from
out.
all
I know
3
Curry
levels,
gonna be number
an
1
above
probably.
average
He's gonna be
first
number,
step,
I mean,
and he knows
he's
how
gonna
to
be number
drive
2.
and kick. Tatum is a good finisher at the rim, and he has raised the ability to force fouls and get to the line. He was playing more than a decent defense in the playoffs, and the Celtics didn't fear when
Curry
he
gonna be
switched
number
on to
1
the
for
best
sure.
opposing scorers.
Tatum 3, who's
Jason's
gonna be number
physique,
2?
athleticism, and shooting touch make it look like he was made in a basketball laboratory for scoring elegantly. elegance, and that's what is so frustrating about him. During these playoffs, Tatum had brilliant games in which he played within the team as an absolute leader, imposing his skill and will on opponents and looking completely unguardable.
Lowry
Decisions, exploited mismatches, was effective in transition and half-court, and generally looked like one of the top 5 NBA players. He was impressive in the third game against the Nets when he put Brooklyn away with 39. In the sixth game against the Bucks when he scored 46 on the road facing elimination. He was great in the clutch against Miami, but the Celtics wing also showed a slightly uglier side. He's shown that he's prone to oscillations, a large number of turnovers, and that he can have quarters where it seems like he's not even on the court, especially in the finals against the Warriors. Against Wiggins, Peyton, and the great Golden State defense, Tatum shot just 37% from the field, despite 45% of his threes. And even though he led all players in total points in the playoffs, he had the most turnovers as well, and by a wide margin. Tatum is only 24,
That's tough, man.
and he was the best player on the team that was inches away from winning the
But
title.
time out, though, look.
That's why he deserves
if
to be
Steph
so
Curry is
high
number
on this
1
list.
and Jason
Despite
Tatum
many
number
great
3,
moments, he still left
who's going to be number 2? That's what I want to know.
Room to grow.
Who's going to be number 2?
Giannis.
Giannis.
Giannis is like LeBron was in his prime, the most physically dominant player in the NBA. His presence alone guarantees you a playoff spot. Chris Middleton played just the first 2 games of the 2022 playoffs, but the Bucks had no problem in the first round against the Bulls. Chicago had no one who could stop the Greek Freak, who finished with 29 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists on average, on an efficient 57% shooting. To beat players like LeBron, Jordan, or Kobe in the playoffs, it takes a great team and collective effort. The same is true for Antetokounmpo. The Celtics were perfectly equipped to guard Giannis, with strong, mobile, and long defenders such as Horford, Grant Williams, Tatum, and Smart. Still, Giannis averaged 34 points, nearly 15 rebounds, and 7 assists per game.
I guess he just looked bad. He's always still putting up points, though.
Antetokounmpo finished the playoffs ranked 1st in points per game, 2nd in rebounds, and 4th in assists.
Oh my God!
The best defensive rating out of all
disgusting.
players in the playoffs. He may not be the most skilled guy, but is certainly the most dominant player in the NBA today.
Big facts, and of course he's number 1.
Steph has had great.
Of course he's number 1.
He's won championships.
What do you expect? He's number 1.
In the 2022 playoffs, at the age of 34, he played the best basketball of his life. The most obvious improvement is visible by looking at his body, which is significantly bigger than before. Steph bulked up 15 pounds from his first NBA title, and that's extremely helpful on defense. Steph has been targeted in the pick and roll more than any other player in the 2022 playoffs, and he was able to hold his own. Opponents couldn't hunt him down and exploit his weak frame as they did before. Offensively, he did all the beautiful things that he does so well. We watched him dance with the ball, hit long-range missiles, and movement mastery of finding open space. Steph played great and shot the ball well in all the series in the West. He saved the best for the finals, against the stingy and physical Celtics defense that limited Kevin Durant to just 38% shooting and 33% for three. Steph shot 48% and 44% for 3. KD scored just 0.8 points per jump shot against the Celtics, compared to 1.5 points for Steph. That's saying something. With 31 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals per game, Curry played the best finals of his life.
Yeah, he showed out. I ain't gonna hold you. He definitely showed out.
And is once again the king of the NBA.
He definitely showed out, man. Hey, who is the best player in your opinion in the playoffs, man? Let me know down in the comments, but I hope y'all boys enjoyed this video if you watch this right now. Appreciate you. See you in the next video, bro.